civilians dying, period, is terrible. Even non-civilians, it's not ideal. Like, human death sucks. This is very reminiscent of Vietnam. This is really giving me Vietnam vibes. It's just going to be so sticky and complicated. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Thoughtful Banter podcast, where it looks terrible, where it looks terrible. No. I can fix that in post.
Okay,
I can fix that in post.
Okay.
But this is gonna look pretty terrible. And man, sometimes we just gotta keep them reps going.
Yeah,
we're going a rough period. The Saints got a kid coming along the way. So like, we're just going to be getting these episodes out. I've been having technical difficulties with my laptop here, man. I spent I think, I don't know. I want to say like at least $1,600 on this Asus ROG Zephyrus G14. I'm like, oh, this laptop's sick, and like all these, I got it like kind of when it was hyped up, and it has so many issues, and this show has been overheating. This Jones battery is goofy. I basically have to always leave it plugged in.
Sheesh.
So I've been having, I bring it up to say I've been also having technical difficulties with uploading. So I just want to acknowledge we haven't gotten out 2 episodes out this week. Episodes recorded. Had to fix some laptop stuff, but life's been rough for more reasons than one. This is like the 4th episode in the row. I feel like at this point we've been talking about what's been happening in Gaza, and it just sucks.
Yeah,
it just sucks.
I think I've said most of what I had to say on it. So,
yeah, we just gotta say, like, man. Okay, I'll just say this, and it's gonna get you going. I'll just say this. I think the crappiest part about this entire situation is that the powers of the world at B can fix everything. I don't want anyone to die, man. I don't want any Israeli to die. I don't want any Palestinian to die. Death sucks, period. I don't care what your political stance is, man. We need world peace. We're at a point right now in the world where we need peace. And the reason I say that is, like, of course, we've always needed peace. But now it's different than ever because with the technology the whole world has at this point.
Yeah.
If there's any conflict, it can quickly escalate to a world conflict.
Yeah.
We need to have peace. It's not okay. It's not okay to have these like little wars here and there in the Middle East. No, it needs to be there needs to be a standard of like, listen, it can't go on. And like, in this case, like the world powers that be, like the US is the strongest country on earth. There's no denying it. The US has the greatest military on the planet. I think there could actually really be some peace if our country like decided, instead of like picking sides,
got some act right.
Yeah, I think if the U.S. had more of like an actual big brother role, instead of like saying, "Hey, Israel's like my little brother, I'm gonna take care of him no matter what." If the U.S. just stood there, and be like, "Listen, both of you behave this way, and you have to listen."
I mean, again, if like to your point, if the U.S. decided to pull all kinds of funding from Israel, they could get them to do whatever they wanted. Like Netanyahu's considering literally like putting troops on the ground and seizing Gaza. And that's just an awful idea. That's an awful idea. And Israelis don't want it. Like the Israelis that live there don't even want that. The Israeli military, as far as the people that are actually going to be combatants, I'm sure they don't want that. America doesn't want Israel to do that. The international community doesn't want Israel to do that. And Netanyahu's just chugging ahead, full steam ahead.
Netanyahu is pretty set on what he wants to do.
Yeah,
he has been vocal, like his whole political career. If you just go back to any time this guy gives a speech, he has a chance. Every time he has a chance to talk about it, he's talking about wanting to bomb Iran before Iran bombs them. Every time. Why is it every time Netanyahu goes to the UN, he's bringing a poster? Like, he's very visual. You know what I'm saying? He's always be like, this was Iran's nuclear budget last year. And it's like a Cartoon Network style poster. It's like a meme.
He is very much a meme. But anyways, I say all that to say, though, like, if America truly wanted to stop, like, we had freaking the dude, what was his name, Kirby, get up there the other night and be like, yeah, we're not drawing any red lines for Israel. And, like, to say these kind of things just makes no sense to me, especially because, like Matthew said, we are the number one like hegemonic world power right now. And again, we've already seen what how Israel squirms when we decide to withhold stuff from them. So like we could literally like if I hope Netanyahu doesn't actually go through with this, but if he does, and the military and the U.S. doesn't at least even put up the threat that, hey, we're not gonna support you on this, this could really escalate very poorly.
And this is completely avoidable in my approach. This is completely avoidable. And this is a consistent trend I'm seeing right now in history, and I think like we're all kind of seeing it, where there's the people who are really running the show, the politicians, and the lobbyists who are putting the money into the politicians' pockets. And like I'm not a political analyst. I can't tell you like, oh, what should I'm just this is my observation. The politicians, we live in a supposed democracy. The politicians are supposed to represent the interests of the people, right? If you're a governor, you're supposed to represent the people who you're governing. If you're a state senator, you're supposed to represent the people of the state, right? And so on and so forth, right? You're the president, you're supposed to represent the nation. And I am not buying that most people of most states, that most people of America want this war. But our politicians...
No.
These politicians are pushing it.
No.
And it's just... I guess I have a question. Why? I'm not seeing rallies. I'm not seeing rallies of pro-Israel rallies saying we want this war. I'm seeing counter-Palestine rallies, but I'm not seeing rallies of just saying we support Israel. Let's go to war. I'm not seeing it. It's just I just want
like no one wants
yeah
a full blown like boots on the ground attack on Gaza. They might want all of that land, right? But they don't want to do it the difficult way. Like putting boots on the ground is very time consuming, energy consuming, resource consuming, messy. Also, not to mention that like the way warfare is today benefits the defensive side more than the aggressor, right? And again, they don't want to completely just waste that land because they want it too, right? So they're not just gonna like drop devastating bombs on it. They'll drop bombs here and there, right? But it's not any kind of damage that couldn't be fixed eventually. Maybe 10, 15 years. Maybe it takes 10, 15, even 20 years. But if they get that land, they could fix it. So they don't want to just like nuke it, right? Well, not only do they not want to nuke it because of the destruction it'll cause, but also they're right there in the blast zone still, right? So like nobody wants that. Not even the Israelis that want all of that land want that because they know how messy it's going to be. Again, I said that thing about warfare benefiting the person who's on the defensive rather than the aggressor. And so I think if they put boots on the ground, they are going to get clapped. Like they're going to get waxed, absolutely waxed. And I think going back to what we were talking about last episode, and this is why I have a lot of frustration with the pro-Palestinian movement and also just like the far left in America, the far left political spectrum in America in general, because it's not just people who are Palestinian or Muslim that are supporting this. A lot of like far left people on the political spectrum are supporting this too. And the way you get your point across and the way you get legislators to hear you and the people that actually make these decisions who matter to hear you is if you have an effective message. And a message that is not effective is just refusing to, even if you don't agree with it, even whatever, just refusing to play the game. And the game is if Hamas or anyone who's on the Palestinian side does XYZ that is abhorrent, right? Even if that action can be contextualized and there's a broader history there, just absolutely be like, oh, nah, everything's okay. All revolution, everything in the revolution is counterproductive.
It's damaging, actually.
It's damaging
to the people we want to help.
And it's
actually
thing,
damaging.
And so when people see, when like these officials are seeing that, instead of thinking, hey, maybe they have some points and I should take these points into consideration, it's like, oh no, they are radicals.
No, that's not how politics works.
Yeah.
We have to be very decisive with our messaging. That's why we have said on the podcast, you and I both, for the record, hey, we condemn Hamas. If Hamas did those things, we condemn it. Israelis dying, it's terrible. Civilians dying, period, it's terrible. Even non-civilians, it's not ideal. Like human death sucks, period. No one wants that to happen. this is extremely, and what you said actually was going back to what I was saying, what I was going to say, which was, this is very reminiscent of Vietnam. This is really giving me Vietnam vibes. It's just going to be so sticky and complicated. America's already funding a war with Ukraine. Boots on the ground. If Israel really decides to actually go, I've been hearing here and there, boots on the ground. Lebanon is right there looking at them. Lebanon is straight like
Iran
and Lebanon are rubbing their hands like Birdman, and it's just like, it's not.
I mean, they might not deploy troops themselves, but they'll definitely give them money and give them weapons.
It's just very scary. I don't want this to happen. I don't think it doesn't benefit anybody. Who is this benefiting? You know, and now at this point, I'm just talking in circles. But I want to mention one thing, because this is relevant news. This is what is this paper? Sorry, 1 second. The Senate just unanimously adopted a resolution condemning pro-Palestine student protesters as in solidarity with Hamas and anti-Semitic. The resolution calls to fully and completely support Israel in its war on Gaza. Everyone from Bernie Sanders to Rand Paul voted for this. So this is the resolution. Actually, I'll link it below. I'm not going to read the resolution. It's a bit long, but I will link it. And I did feed this resolution by the Senate. I did feed it to ChatGPT, and I asked, hey, ChatGPT, just translate this. Like, what is it saying? Right? And basically, the repercussions on our lives, according to ChatGPT, will be increased awareness. This resolution, if adopted, will make more Americans aware of the events in Israel-related activities on college campuses. Safety concerns. There may be increased security measures on college campuses due to concerns of anti-Semitism and potential violent incidents. Polarization. This resolution may further polarize opinions on Israel-Palestine conflict, both in Congress and among the general public. Impact on foreign policy. Adopting this resolution may further solidify the U.S.'s stance in support of Israel. Potential legislative changes. Depending on the outcome of this resolution and related sentiments, there may be considerations for legislative changes to address anti-Semitism and other related concerns in the U.S. Now, to me, what this means is, this is for one, it's interesting because student movements are very powerful. There is a lot of pressure being made by the college students during Vietnam because of their protesting. They're protesting hard. And the government did a lot of. I've heard apparently that the whole hippie movement was created by like the CIA,
like the anti,
to dissuade the anti-war movement, because initially the anti-war movement was led by like very button-up, professional, intelligent people, and the CIA is like, man, let's just make a bunch of druggies, let's get some acid tabs and all this stuff, and it falls apart, right? So there's that. I think students on visa going to be targeted because those are the weakest people. Like if you're on visa right now and your face is somewhere and you're saying something and they don't like it and it gets wind, you might have to pack your bags and go home.
Yeah.
And then just in general intimidation, like, just FBI going around campus talking to students. Hey, you're saying what? And if then when they investigate you, you're linked to something else.
Yeah. There's this one organization. This is as far as like the student thing is concerned. They're called FIRE. And they're this, I guess, think tank or organization dedicated to like free speech on college campuses. So a lot of, in the recent years, just because it's come up a lot more, they've been very much pro free speech and open speech on college campuses, specifically for like right-wing opinions and stuff like that, and right-wing personalities like Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro. Like, remember when like campuses were kicking them, like students were, trying to get them, their speaking gigs canceled and stuff like that. So they've been really like present there. And because of that, you might get the impression, at least I did, that they were primarily concerned with right-wing speech, freedom of right-wing speech, and not so much care for anything else. But to my surprise, they've been pretty consistent and actually sent a letter to multiple universities. And I think one specifically in Florida is the one I'm talking about, discouraging, basically cracking down on the speech of students in this conflict. like in regards to this, and I thought it was really, really interesting.
It makes me happy.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I might not agree with everything you do, but at least you're consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, right? Like the people who are fighting for a white guy's right to say the N-word are now the people who are fighting for a Muslim's right to talk about the oppressions happening. You know, that's so funny because I was thinking to myself, like, this really feels like an attack of freedom of speech, right? Because the way that the whole thing is phrased, it's like, I haven't seen any students be pro-Hamas, but I think what they're saying is if you're pro-Palestine, you're pro-Hamas.
Yeah.
So for one, like you're changing my words, right? So you're insulating things. You're making things not even make sense, and you're like just creating an opinion that I never had, and then you're creating these repercussions for me because of what you're saying that I'm saying, which I'm not even saying. You're not even addressing what I'm saying. And I think it's very interesting. Like, we're in this time right now where freedom of speech is coming up a lot. People like these comedians are on the front line of it, like Joe Rogan and these people who, like, we wouldn't typically be like, oh yeah, we think all this matters a lot, but now it's relevant. And I think it's just interesting how it all connects.
I think the argument that I've heard is that obviously not all types of speech are protected, and there's like Supreme Court cases of like different types of speech, and they have what is it? It's like the Bradenburg or something. Anyway, there's a test that they use based off of this Supreme Court case, and it's like, does the speech do this? Does the speech do this? Does the speech do that? Some of the things are like incite violence, stuff like that. So I guess the argument that I've been hearing against, freedom of speech for pro-Palestinian causes or pro-Hamas causes is that it is, kind of inciting that violence. And so I might not technically fall under the legal definition of what free speech is. These are all like technical debates. And I think maybe some do fall under that, maybe some don't. But the broader point is what you're saying, which is not a lot of these people are not even pro-Hamas necessarily. They're just saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this about
I've never met or seen someone who's actually that, to my knowledge. I really think this is like, this is really following the money.
Yeah. But then like also, this is again where the strategy comes in, and it's like the sentiment that you hear a lot of the times is, when we're standing up for a just cause, when we're standing up for justice, I'm not necessarily going to nitpick at like these are like secondary or even tertiary issues that we need to address. The main point is this, but like the packaging is what matters as well. And this is what I keep saying, So I've read some of the student letters. I haven't read all of them across like every single campus, obviously. But this is where the strategy comes in. And maybe it's like emphasize your empathy towards the victims of the event on October 7th.
But yeah, we definitely have to have empathy for everyone involved. And maybe, like if our goal is to like right now just have some peace in Gaza, have some peace for Palestinians and the Israelis, maybe our goal should just be like, we're like, like you said, like our tactics have to change. Like we have to, like even the rallies you see, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It's like they're not going to listen to that. Mm-mm. So maybe 2-state solution, let it be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did see a comment. Someone commented, who do you think's the one who keeps rejecting a 2-state solution? How often have you heard from the river to the sea? And I'm like, I see what the person is saying. Like that doesn't give an idea of like a 2-state solution. Mm-hmm. That's like, no, we want it all back.
Yeah, which is just not gonna happen.
Yeah, unless Superman comes and everyone's just listening to Superman, that's not gonna happen. So a 2-state solution right now is the only solution within any kind of world that we're in that could happen.
2-state is probably too far gone. Potentially a 3-state. 3-state solution. And yeah, I mean, what Israel needs to do, and again, this is also unlikely, is if they go for any kind of 3-state, 2-state solution, whatever, they also need to dump resources into making those states economically productive as well, and giving those people free travel and access to other parts of the country.
So what will be the third state?
I think it's So the three-state solution would be two independent Palestinian states. One would be the West Bank and the other in Gaza, and then the state of Israel.
Why two instead of one?
I don't remember. I read an article about it.
One's too powerful.
Huh?
You gotta divide them up.
One's too powerful. I don't think so. It's just that what do you do with like the people in the West Bank that are kind of like, which state do you make one?
I don't understand the logistics of all that. I just thought like, just they won. What do you mean?
They're two separate places.
Aren't they connected by land?
No, I mean you have to like go through Israel to get to the other place.
That makes sense a little bit.
Yeah. So just make them their two independent states. I can actually read it right now. So a two-state solution is unworkable because Gaza and the West Bank won't form part of a single state. First of all, and most importantly, they're non-contiguous. So yeah, exactly. They're not connected. Non-continuous states have a very poor historical track record, as evidenced by the fate of Pakistan and Bangladesh. Alaska is an exception, of course, but Alaska is also mostly empty wilderness. So yeah, basically the point here being is that because they're non-contiguous, it just makes things extra complicated for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is so sad. Like, if we stop focusing, like the world, if we just had like, dude, listen, humans are so simple. I can't think of a tribe or a group of humans who don't really just want the same things, you know? And that's like, we just want to have our family safe and taken care of.
We want
to have our kids go to school.
We
want to have enough money to make sure we can take care of our wives and put them in nice clothing and make sure they're comfortable.
Basically,
we want to have food on the table, bro.
Whatever they want, circumstances circumstances that enable flourishing of the human condition.
Yeah, we want prosperity. And listen, it's not like a win for Palestinians and a loss for Israelis. It's a win-win. If I'm doing well, it encourages my neighbor to do well. If I have a bakery on a block, I'm not looking at my neighbor across the street who has a pizza place, right, or a coffee shop, and thinking, oh, that's competition. And even if it is competition, it's going to help me out too. Maybe after people want to eat my baked goods, they're thirsty, go to the coffee shop.
Or vice versa. Or they eat some pizza or whatever and they want some dessert.
Like, it's not a competition. Like, we have to, if humans are going to exist any longer than like the next 100 years, we need to make this change right now in our thinking. We need to think like, listen, like, this is totally possible. What do I win from trying to annihilate another group of people? You know, which is why I keep going back to saying Israel and America have all of the power in this position.
Yeah, again, we've talked about this. This is not symmetrical. This is extremely asymmetrical in Israel's favor, right?
Listen, like, you could really be like, listen, we are completely committed to a two-state solution. You could really be like, listen, we are completely committed to a two-state solution, and we will make it work. Because if it doesn't work, it's not a matter of just us dying. A lot of other countries are going to end up getting involved here, because you can see how this is impacting the rest of the Muslim and the Arab world. People are not happy with what's happening right now.
And you know, at the end of the day, like, if they get what they want, it's like, but at what cost? Basically.
At what cost? The lives. Even, and I'm looking at like a Netanyahu. I'm like, do you not care about your own people either?
They don't want, bro. Netanyahu was on the chopping block before like all of this stuff started happening. I don't want to get into like some of the conspiracy theories around it, or the theories around it. Let me be a little more respectful.
I've been hearing a lot of these theories and
the theories around it, but like, he was trying to severely weaken the power of the Supreme Court in Israel, and nobody wanted it to happen. like nobody. The Israelis were sick of him. Israelis have been sick of him.
I'd be really curious. I think what I would like to do is actually like interview and have a conversation with like an Israeli who knows like what's happening in Israel, and like just ask him like, hey, man, what do you think?
Yeah,
I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, there's like again, we talked about this as well. Like, the reason people a lot of times comment on like, oh, Palestinians don't even view Israelis don't even view Palestinians as like human. Like they dehumanize them, they dehumanize their suffering. They have like the whole Pallywood thing that they do, which is absolutely disgusting. And it's like, this is just the process and the product of like eradication of a people, right? You can't consciously think about these people as human beings and then simultaneously continuously settle their land without feeling some kind of like, you can't have both things existing at the same time. One thing has to give. Something has to give. And it's either, oh, I have a moral conscience and decide to object and leave this place, or like, that would be kind of inconvenient. My life is kind of good. I'm going to rationalize it by thinking these people are just absolute complete animals and therefore don't deserve anything else. You know, that's the only thing. That's the only way you can make it work.
Yeah, only way you can make it make sense to you, right? You know,
like you would be in constant turmoil, and no one can live that way.
Yeah, the human brain can't take it, because one thing as humans we need is consistency.
And I think mentally. Do you remember that video of that Jewish guy from Brooklyn who took that Palestinian family's house?
Yeah,
and he was just like you could hear when the Palestinians were talking to him, like, why are you doing this to us? And he's like, if it wasn't me, it'd be someone else. Like, that was how he rationalized it, right?
Yeah.
That's how he made himself feel better. He was like, it's going to happen anyway.
He was from Brooklyn, bro. And it was so weird because it was like an actual, like, decently civil conversation.
It was.
The Palestinian woman is yelling at him, like, why are you taking my home? Mm-hmm. And he's like, because if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. And he, like, shrugs. And he just tells her, like, he tells her straight up how it is.
I had nothing to do with I had nothing to do with physically like taking this from you, right?
I didn't take it technically.
Yeah.
And she's like, but you are moving in. He's like, it's not me, it'll be someone else. What are you mad at me for?
Basically.
And she's like, nah, like, you don't got to though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I honestly, I really think there's peace here that could be found. I know we got to wrap up or like move on to the next topic, but I just want to say, like, I really deep down in my heart, I really believe peace can be found here amongst all these different people. I know Jerusalem is an important place to Christians, to Jews, to Muslims. We have a history of all three of these religions, fighting for this area. And within our history of conflict, there have been pockets of peace. There have been pockets of coexistence. You know, it is really possible. It might not be easy. It might not be simple. It might be complicated and difficult, but I really believe that, like, there is this possibility for us to find peace. That's the only way. There needs to be this. That's it. It's not going to stop unless we change the way we're thinking. We change the way that we allow ourselves to operate. You know, just like, I just want people listening to this, if you can, like, get any part of the podcast out and remember it, it's this. Like, there needs to be peace right now. It's not helping anybody. Anyone who's, like, really warmongering this issue, I don't think you're thinking straight. I don't think you're seeing the big picture. Even the other part, even like the Muslim side are just like, no, like, we just got to do this, bro, and like it's got to happen. Like, no, you're not thinking, bro. Do you know how many millions of people are going to die? Mm-hmm. If there's a chance where we can live in a world where that doesn't happen, that's the better world to live in.
Yeah,
100%. It's been lit, man.
Thank you guys for listening to the Thoughtful Banter podcast.
Oh. Before we let you guys know, I have this idea for 1,000 subscribers. I want to kind of make like a little like documentary type beat. Because 1,000 subs is coming, bro, and that's so exciting. Bro, that's so exciting.
Hopefully before the end of the year, you know. Before year end.
Can I manifest this, bro?
Sure.
I don't know if I should. I don't know if I believe it enough. That's the key about manifestation. You have to believe it. You ever watch like those Conor McGregor like motivational videos where he talks about like Pete Conor, like when he was actually for real winning, he was on that Mystic Mac type beat, like he was just like saying, and the third round he's gonna take a knee, he's gonna try to spin at me, and I want to see him come, I want to do a back swing kick.
Can you?
When he was like that. Hold on.
Yes, Mystic Mac. They call me Mystic Mac.
When he was all that, Joe, he was talking about manifestation, and I was like, I don't know if I believe in that, but.
Brother, just say what you want to manifest.
My point is, relax, bro. Don't be mean to me, bro. But I slap you, Denki. You're mad rat. Bro, what if you mad rat? What if we got like 100,000 subscribers next year, bro.
That'd be awesome.
What if we go from
Let's
like
get this first 1,000 first.
we 10x this year, we 10x next year.
Hey, it's possible.
We got locked on a strategy. Anyways, what do you guys think? You guys let us know. Sorry. I'm excited the things to come. If you're listening to this episode right now, just remember the Patreon sponsored this episode. You can support us there. That's the best way for you guys to give us your money so that we maybe make a little bit more. Then. And also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, don't forget, give it a 5-star rating. Download it because that really helps out our metrics. We got to push more on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're on Apple Podcasts, do the same you're supposed to be doing on Spotify. If you're on YouTube, like the video, comment down something below so the algorithm's like, oh, this is dope.
Subscribe
If you're not already. Yeah, definitely subscribe. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you.